Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Miss Delight. Okay, today's video you're seeing right now is the continuation of my previous video. The previous video was a video of the drafting of a pattern of an M-shaped bustier dress with a gong sleeve. So this one is all about the sewing. So if you haven't watched that one, you should watch it before watching this one so you can easily understand it. So let's just get right into the video. Okay, so using my pattern, I use my pattern to cut out on my material and also did the same with my line. So I cut my material on my lining, and this is just how the front piece look like. We have the yoke, the side piece, and the center. Sorry, we have the yoke, the side front, and the center front. Okay, so keeping that aside. Okay, so like this is our back piece. This is the lining, this is the fabric, the material. So now, bringing our front piece up, we're going to take away the yoke because we're not working with it as of yet. So now we have with us our side, side and our center front. So I'm going to take away the pin because we just want to work with the material. So take away the pin, take away the pattern paper and the linen of both of them. All right, so now bringing up my material, I would like to make marks so I can place my pad on top. So now bringing up my side front, I'm going to use 5" to go in with. So I'm using 5" because of the bust measurement I'm working with. I'm working with the bust of 39, so I decided to use 5. You can use 5 or 4.5, but I just decided to use 5. If I'm working with a bust of a lower size, I can use 4" 3.5. It just depends. All of this just depends on the size, on the bust size you're working with. So now right now I'm creating like a curve. So just curate yours like you see me creating mine. Okay, bringing up my other side front, I'm going to place it equal to equal, like, so I can get, so that mark I made with my chalk can show on the other side. So now I'm just placing it up. I'm just going to like dab it. Okay. So now I can now see the outline of my chalk on the other piece. I'm just going to retrace what I'm saying. Okay, so that's done. Now, bringing up my center front, I'm going to use my chalk to mark on my underbust and on the other underbust, and I'll connect them using a straight line. Right, so now, done. Time for us to put our pad on it. Okay, so bringing up my pad, I'm going to use my gum to mark, like I'll put my gum on that mark I made. So just put just like you see me putting mine. Okay, now this pad I'm using does not have a gum. It does not have a gum I can like stick it with. So I'll use this my Beast 6000 to gum it on top. Placing it. I'll press it down flat, then use my scissors to cut it. Now open it up. I want to follow that mark, that outline I made with my chalk. Okay, so this is it. I'm going to equally repeat the same process for the other side front. Okay, so that's done. Time for me to work on my center front. So I'll use my gum, I'll place it exactly on the bust line, and I'll place around it. Just do yours like you see me do mine. Okay, so now I will place it on my pad. The other bust should be exactly on the edge of my pad, just like see what I'm doing. Okay, I'll use my hand to flatten it up so my gum will gum, like it will stick well. Now use my scissors to cut around it. Okay, so that's all. So this is my center front. These are the parts looking like my side front and the other side front. So that's just it. So I want to sew it. I'm going to place it this way. First of all, I want to make sure the underbust are equal. So I'll make it equal to equal. So I'll take it over to my sewing machine and make it equal to equal and like sew around it. So just see how I'm placing my pad, and that's how you should place yours when sewing it. Okay. I'll also do the same for the other side. So let me head over to my sewing machine and do that. Okay, so now I've stitched it and this is just how it's looking like. So I want to use my scissors to trim it out and make notches, especially at the underbust. Okay, so now I want to trim it out and I also make notches. I will repeat the same process for the other side of my pad. And now I'm going to turn it up to the front. So this is just how our pad is looking like. Okay, so keeping that aside, we'll bring our yoke. So I'm going to take away that pattern paper. Done. So now I want to separate my yokes. So this is my yoke one and the lining piece, and my other side of the yoke with the lining piece. So I would want to okay, so placing it on my table, I'm going to show you where I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew on that V we have, sorry, and I will sew on that spot too. I will equally do the same for that side. Sew the V, so that straight part, and I also sew the V. So the part I'm not sewing the shoulder, the armhole, and I'm also not going to sew the down part. Okay, so this is just it. I have sewed the side, the V. Okay, so bringing up my pad. Okay, I will get the midpoint of it. So just place yours like you see me placing mine. Using my scissors, I will create a notch. Okay, so now I know where the center is. I bring up my yoke one. This is how it should be. Make sure that the edge of that point of my beginning of my yoke starts exactly at that notch I made. I'm going to use my pin to pin it down. Bringing up the other yoke, I will place it again on that notch. And I equally use my pin to pin it down. So that's done. Now, bringing up the yoke, I'll try to spread it evenly. I'm going to place it at the end of my armhole. So just place it like you see me placing mine. Using my pin, I'll hold it down. And I'll do the same for the other side. Place just like you see me place mine. And I'll use my pin to hold it down. So I'm going to stitch on top of those parts. Okay, so I've stitched it. Time to take out my pin. I just want to show you how it looks like. And this is just how it looks like. Okay, so now my lining piece. So picking up my lining piece, that's the center piece and the two side piece, I'm going to like join it the same way I did to the pad. So I'll just go and do it off the camera. Okay, so this is just how my lining looks like after I've joined it. Okay, so time to use my lining to turn up my front. So I'm going to place it just like this. Taking that yoke in. Okay, so placing that part to that part, I'll use my pin to hold it down. Equally do the same for the other side, use my pin to hold it down. Okay, so the only part I'm sewing here, I'm going to sew that topmost part I'm pinning now. I'm going to sew and I'm going to stitch the two sides. Okay, so I've pinned where I want to be pinned. I will stitch that side. I will not stitch the armhole. I will stitch the topmost part. I will not stitch the armhole of that part, and I'll stitch the other side. So now, keeping that aside, we want to work on our back piece. So now my back piece, remember I didn't add a zipper allowance when I was drafting the pattern, but I did add the zipper allowance when cutting on the material. So that part you see there, it's my zipper allowance. So now I want to turn this up with my lining. I'm going to take away my pattern paper. Okay. Okay. So this is this is the front of my back. I'll place my lining on top of the front. To placing my lining on each part. Okay. So I'm going to sew that side. I'm going to sew the other side, sew the neckline. So that's the only part I'll be sewing with the back. I'm going to do it off camera and I'll show you like how it looks like. Okay, so back to my front piece. I've gone to my sewing machine and I've stop stitched it. So I will take out my pin. After taking out my pin, I will trim my lining and make nudges around the part I sewed. I'm going to turn it up. And this is my front piece after being turned up with my linen. Okay, so time for my back piece. I've stitched where I want to stitch. Using my scissors, I'll equally make nudges, then I'll turn it up. So I went ahead and ironed it. So this is my front piece. I've ironed it and see how nice it's looking. And I've also ironed my back piece and this is how it's looking like. Okay, now so bringing up my front piece, I want to join the shoulder to shoulder. So placing this on my back piece, I'm going to bring it up. Now, you see where I'm touching the joint connection of my lining and my material, I'm going to bring up my back piece. So the two line and carrier to be facing each other, and the two lining should be facing each other. And most important, you need those two parts you sew that part to be touching each other. So you place them on top, make sure they're touching each other, equal to equal, line to line. So I'm going to use my pin and hold it down, and I'm going to make a straight stitch from that midpoint to the end of the material, and from the end of the mat, and from that midpoint again to the end of my linen. So this is just how to join your shoulder to shoulder. So I've joined the two shoulders, and this is just it. So now I want to top stitch. I want to top stitch on the armhole. I will top stitch on the armhole and trim out the excesses of the linen. I will do the same for the other side, the other armhole. I will top stitch on top and trim out the excesses of the linen. Then I will top stitch the down parts of all my pieces, the body, back, and of the front. Okay, so I've done that and I've top stitched it, and this is how it's looking like. So placing my shoulder, I want to show you that. Remember, we took out side dart from the front. So now to make the back equal, because remember the back and the front have different half lengths. So look at, after taking my side dart, it makes the two, like the two sides of my half length to be equal. So just see it. I have my two half length. The front half length is 18, the back is 16.5. After taking out my side dart, it's equal. It's still equal. My side dart ensures that my lining, the front piece and the back piece are equal. So now I want to join my skirt part to this. Okay, so using my tape, I'm going to place it at the underbust. The underbust I'm working with is 14, so I'm going to place 14 at the underbust. And I'm going to mark it straight to the half length. So the half length I'm working with 18. I'm going to use my chalk to mark 18. So I'm doing this so that I can, when I'm touching the skirt part to my upper part, it won't be excessive. So I'm doing the same for the other side, marking my 18. I'm going to curate using it, I'm going to draw a straight line around it. So that's just me drawing a straight line. So I'm bringing my back piece. Now my back piece, I'm going to place my tape exactly at the top part, and I want to get my half length of the back. So I'm going to mark my choke on my 16.5. My back half length I'm working with is 16.5. I'm going to mark 16.5, and I'm going to make a straight line using my 16.5. And I'll do the same for the other side of my back. Okay, so I've attached my skirt piece to my front piece, and this is just it. This is how my front is looking like, and this is just how my back it's looking like. I also want to attach my zip to this. So now we're going to go ahead and shape it, then attach our gong sleeves. Okay, so I've shaped it I've joined my front piece and my back piece together, and this is just how it looking like. So the only thing I remember for us to do now is to cut our gong sleeve so we can attach it. So I'm going to use my tape, and I want to measure around my armhole. I want to know, I want to get what I have there. I don't know how many inches there. So I'm just going to measure around. Okay, so I've already gotten what I have there. Taking that aside, so I'm bringing up my piece of my material that I'll use to cut the sleeves. I'm going to fold it into two because I'm cutting it one part first, and I'll use the part I cut out to trace the other one. So now I'm just going to fold this into two. Okay, so I've gotten the piece of the material I want to use. I'm now folding it into two. Okay, Okay, so I added extra 5 inch to my armhole measurement. I'm dividing what I have there by 2. So this is just me adding 5 inch to what I have in my armhole. So I'm going to divide it by 2. So this is going to serve as what I'll use to mark out. Okay, so I'm going to place it on my material, make a mark there. So now to get the full length of my sleeves, for this you can add only 1 inch allowance because you use 1 inch to join the shoulder. So you use half inch to join the shoulder to the material, and the other half inch you use for your turn up. So I'm just marking the division of my sleeves, and I'm going to do the same for the other side. I want it to like go straight, so making a straight line. So now at the topmost, that first line I drew, that's like going to start as a starting point for the cutting of my sleeve. I went in by 4 there, and I went to the end of my line, and I'm going down by 4. So I'm just create the curve you see me create now. Try to recreate it on yours. Okay, so this is just all for the cutting of these sleeves. I'm going to use my scissors to cut out this, and I'm going to place it on that piece of material and cut exactly what I have here. Okay, I've done that. Bringing up my linen, I want to recut this on my linen too because the hand is going to have linen. So fold it into 2, I'll place my material on it and I'll recut what I have. Okay, so for this, we need a very hard gum stir. You need a very hard gum stir to achieve the gong sleeve. So I'm using the hardest gum stir. So taking our lining out, we're not going to attach this gum stir on our lining. Instead, we'll attach it to our material itself. So bringing out my material, that's the sleeve of my hand. Opening it up, I'm going to attach that stir to the back piece of it. So I'm going to attach that stir to the back piece. See, it's very hard. All right, so I've attached it to the sleeves, and this is just how it's looking like. Okay, so time for me to trim out all those excesses I have at the sides. I'm sorry, after trimming it out, I'll bring my linen and I'll place my linen on top so I can like turn it up. So placing my linen on top of it. Okay, I'll top stitch the down part and the 2 sides. I'll equally do the same, repeat the same process for the other side. Okay, so I've stitched it and I've turned it up, and I also stop stitched the the uppermost part, that's the armhole part, and this is just how it's looking like. So now I'll fold this into 2 so I can get the midpoint of my sleeves, and I'll also stitch the side using 1 inch. Yes, I will join it together using 1 inch. Okay, so this is just it. I've joined it, and this is how it's looking like. Remember, I made a notch to get to the center. So this is just how it's looking like. Let me turn it up so you see it. Okay, so this is just our gong sleeve sitting pretty or standing pretty. This is how your sleeve should look like. I'll also turn up the other side, the other sleeve, so you can like see how it's looking. Okay, so that's just it. These are sleeves. So now that midpoint, I want to join it to my material. Okay, so bringing up my material, I'm going to bring it up. Now that shoulder part I joined is going to be to the midpoint. So look, I'm placing it. The midpoint to my shoulder joining. I'll use my pin and hold it up. And I'm going to create, when sewing it, I'll create tiny, tiny pleats so that it's going to start from the midpoint of my join and also end at the line, like the line I use to shape my material and the line of the shaping of my sleeves. Just two lines should be equal. I don't know if you get me, but just I'm pinning my center sleeve to the joint, to my center, sorry, to my shoulder line. And now I'm going to push it all the way to make sure that the joining of my sleeves and that of the one I use and shape my material, yes, that part, I'll place them together because I want those two parts to be equal. Now, the sleeves, I'm going to create tiny, tiny pleats to make sure it fits with my material. Just create tiny, tiny pleats until you exhaust it on that particular part. When you're done, you turn it over and you stitch again from your shoulder line down to the other side. You repeat the same process with the other sleeve. And that's just all. I'm done with it, and this is just the end result. So thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel because you're going to encourage me to do more. So thanks once again for watching.